Hey guys, in this video I want to talk to you about controlling your brand and your kind of digital identity for your business. Specifically, what I mean by that is not just things like your domain for your website and stuff like that, but things down to where your site is hosted, your Google listing for your maps, Search Console, analytics, all of that. But I want to really make what I think is an important side point that doesn't get talked about a whole lot. There's more to it than just saying don't let your SEO guy, if you're a business owner, be the only one who has access to your Google Analytics or your Google Search Console. You need to also have access to it. Yes, that's very true. But whether you're a business owner who doesn't have an SEO person and you're doing it yourself, or maybe you are an SEO person, uh, here's something, a piece of advice I would give you born of something that's come up for me recently. And that is have redundancy in your admin user base for that. Don't be the only login to access that. As an SEO guy, I often handle the Search Console listings and such for my clients. But in some cases, they haven't been interested in getting into all that themselves, so they end up not wanting a login for it themselves. They trust me to do it, which is fine. But I have learned for myself it's good to have redundancy, a side email address or something else, also tied to that listing for two reasons. One, it came of a funny scenario that can swoop up on you when you're not expecting it. I forget now how, it was like a spammy chain email that was sent to like 150 people, and I was one of them, and I accidentally hit reply all when I replied to it to tell the person to take me out of the discussion. And so since I had replied all, Google saw, yes, this email is spammy, and since I was the one at that point sending it to 150 people, Google flagged my Gmail account as participating in spammy and malicious behavior. My account actually got shut down after sending that email for about 3 days, and I had to file a petition with them to explain the situation and get my account back up. Well, the problem with having a Google account that you run all your client stuff through is I was unable to access any of that client stuff for those 3 days, which was pretty alarming for me, and not something you want to have to go to all your clients and say, hey, I got my account shut down, I can't bring up your stuff. And it occurred to me in that moment, had I had a side email address also set as an admin to those listings, I essentially could have said, all right, forget it, to my main email while they're sorting that out, and at least I could use this other account as a side door, if you will, to get into these same listings and services. And I don't think that's something that most people think to do. I certainly haven't thought of it until that had happened, and so that's a bit of a recommendation that I would make for anybody, again, whether you're an SEO person handling a whole bunch of people's accounts or if you're just a business owner handling your own stuff. Have some redundancy so that that situation or anything else doesn't get you locked out of your listing. And the second thing that I would recommend that sort of relates to that is that if you are a business owner who is using an SEO company or a person or whatever to help you with a lot of this type of stuff, if it were me, I would say always insist on having access to those things. If somebody builds you a website, always ask for admin access to your own site. Even if your feeling is, I don't want to be bothered with it, I don't want to be signing into my site every month doing it, I know, but just having access to it. It just prevents you from being locked out of your site, since it is really your whole digital identity and you need to have control of it, and you need to be in a position where if the relationship goes south, you don't find yourself cut out of things that you've paid for, unable to address your site, etc. And same point for your Google Analytics. It's nice when your marketing person sends you reports every month, but it is also nice for you to just be able to check on it yourself when you feel like it. And again, if that relationship comes to an end, you don't want to suddenly be without analytics that might have at that point been tracking 6 months or a year or several years of traffic data, and now you don't have access to any of that anymore to draw historical conclusions. Not a good position to be in. And so just making sure that you have all of those things. Another scenario that came up recently actually is I was the only one that had access for a time to a customer's Search Console account, and then when we parted ways in business, I deleted my access to that account, and then something later went weird with settings in there and whatnot, and they came looking at me basically saying, "What did you do?" And it was difficult for me to have a leg to stand on to say I didn't do anything, I deleted my account. And yet, since previously I had been the only one with access to that channel, there's no one else to suggest to say, well, they might have done it, or you could log in and check yourself with this other email, etc. And so those are just some real life examples of things that have come up or happened to me or to my clients that make me want to give that advice to other people, just to prevent uncomfortable scenarios like that from coming up. The redundancy and the making sure you have control are just nice ways of locking all that down. So I hope that was useful for you guys, and join me in my next video and I'll share more ideas as I think of them. And as always, if you have a specific question about something related to your website, your listings, things like that, let me know, and I'll see if I can work it into an upcoming video. Thanks, guys.